Every year on Fat Tuesday, aka Mardi Gras, bakeries across Chicago are slammed with thousands of orders for a very unassuming Polish pastry. So here in Chicago, the day before Lent is Pączki Day. And if you don't know what a Pączki is, it's if brioche bread and a donut had a baby. Now, I don't know why, but it seems like every single year there's a Pączki shortage. Right around Mardi Gras, I remember to myself, oh, hey, maybe I should go get a Pączki to see what the hype is about. But it's too late. Everywhere's sold out. It's so out of control that in order to secure the bag, people actually order these donuts months in advance, up to like 3 or 4 months in advance. That's dedication, and I respect the hell out of it. However, it's never really worked out in my favor. I grew up here my entire life and didn't have a Pączki until recently, which is precisely why we're making this video here today, to spread the Pączki love. But before we get going here, let's head over to a special Polish bakery who does Pączki pretty well. Delightful Pastries is located in the Jefferson Park neighborhood of Chicago, which has a large population of Polish American residents. This place is Polish owned and operated and has been slinging Pączki since 1998. Now, these guys make all sorts of baked goodies, but they're most known for their Pączki. And lucky for us, unlike so many bakeries around town, these guys actually sell Pączki year-round. I got to schmoozing with an employee named Emmy who filled me in with sort of the inside scoop about Pączki tradition and flavors. She also gave me a very needed Polish lesson and actually taught me how to say the word Pączki, which I had no idea how to do before this video. Pączki. Pączki, like a punch.
Close,
like
yeah.
a punch. Okay. Pączki.
But we make it the traditional Polish style. Not too much filling on the inside because you don't like it super sweet.
Sure.
And then a lot of dough.
So what would the most traditional fillings be, would you say?
Because this is a Polish neighborhood, plum is definitely a big seller.
Plum.
That is the Polish traditional Pączki that is always served on Fat Tuesday. All of the Americans go for the custard with the chocolate. They call it the Boston cream.
Emmy went on to tell me about the Catholic and Eastern European customs behind Pączki Day. Basically, the day before Lent was a way to use up all the rich foods that people would abstain from during Lent. Things like butter, egg, sugar, and fat. Polish people brought this tradition with them to the US, where it merged with Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday, making the day before Ash Wednesday the most popular time to eat Pączki. Ooh! Let's go. Here we go, doing the car eating thing. We got a whiskey one, raspberry, Boston cream, baby, and then the plum here, which is supposed to be the most traditional. There's like a really light glaze on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's not really thick or anything like that. It's enriched and it's bouncy, right? It's not like one of those donuts you bite into and you can see teeth marks. Let me get some of that plum. Whoa. That plum is very acidic almost. Sweet but not too sweet pastry with that glazed sugar on top. That super dark, deep brown, rich plum. But yeah, there's not too much filling. Oh yeah, I like that one. I'm a fat kid for Boston cream. I haven't eaten anything today, so my blood sugar's about to go through the roof. All right, so now that we've tasted the metaphorical milk straight from the udder, I think I have a pretty good idea of how to make these things. Let's start with the dough. So again, we're kind of making a sweetened brioche. We're gonna take a couple of shortcuts that don't affect the final product at all, doing things a little bit differently, so just go with me here. In the bowl of a stand mixer, warm whole milk, active dry yeast, a lot of it, and a little bit of the sugar, not all of it, just enough to feed those yeasties. Now we're just gonna mix this up and let it sit for a sec till it gets bubbly. We're gonna go in with the rest of the sugar, 10 egg yolks, and melted butter. A little bit of vanilla or bean paste. Now we're just gonna whisk that up, and this is gonna be our liquid base, BFO. Then the all-purpose flour right on top of the wet. And you can't forget a little pinch of kosher. Just in general, adding dry ingredients atop wet ingredients for stand mixing helps things incorporate easier. On she goes, dough hook. Now we mix. So you should have a homogeneous, sticky dough, like so. Very fatty, look how yellow that is from all the yolks. Beautiful. Now, we can put that in a bowl, cover that up, and we're gonna let that double in size. It'll take about an hour and a half. It's winter here. Maybe it'll take a little longer because it's a bit colder, but yeah, pretty simple. Pączki dough. So once your Pączkis are fried off, the choose your own adventure really does begin. Let's talk about the filling first. You can put whatever you want in a Pączki. 2 authentic flavors that I learned about were plum butter and rose hip. Those are both kind of classic old world, old country Polish flavors. But more donut-like Americano flavors are available at this bakery, and I know a lot of other bakeries do it too. So you can really add whatever you want. I've made these with Nutella, I've added strawberry jam. You could even leave them plain. A lot of people love them plain. So the first part of the fillings, the second part are the outside coatings. I'm talking granulated sugar, powdered sugar, aka confectioner sugar, chocolate sort of glazes, regular glazes. This bakery does a very, very good classic thin glaze, especially on the more traditional flavors. But you can do whatever you want. There's no one way to do it. You know, put sprinkles on them. Have fun, live a little. It doesn't really matter. There are a lot of ways to get it done. We're gonna do a couple different ones. Pączki glaze. We're gonna go with some milk, whole milk, melted butter, and powdered sugar, aka confectioner sugar, and a pinch of kosher. Now we whiskey. So already this is looking like more of a frosting and less of a glaze. Remember, we're going for that thin layer of glaze. So I'm just gonna water it down, dilute it a little bit with some more whole milk, just until we get the consistency we want. All right, so check this out. This is more what we're going for here, a lot different. Look how it coats the back of that spoon and just starts to dry on. That's gonna basically pretend the spoon's the donut. That's what we want. Chocolate. To make a chocolate glaze for your pączki, we're gonna start by microwaving dark chocolate in a bowl until it's melty. This takes about 45 seconds or so in my microwave. Drop in some tempered butter and give it a whisk. The butter's gonna melt pretty fast. Then we're just gonna thin it out with some whole milk and or heavy cream. Just keep in mind, if you use heavy cream, the more you use, the richer this is gonna be. Once everything is whisked together, you should have a shiny, smooth chocolate glaze, perfect for making a Boston cream-esque pączki. I recommend making this just before coating your pączki. If you need to loosen this back up, like if it solidifies, you can just pop it in the microwave a little longer, then just whisk it up again. All right, our dough is looking puffed and ready to go. Oh yeah, bouncy. All right, so this is a very fatty dough with all the butter and egg yolks. We're not gonna really need flour. So now we're just gonna roll it out. I'm not gonna roll it too thin. I don't want these donuts to be super flat. I keep saying donuts. Pączki. Jeez, what's wrong with me? It looks like a good starting point. That's about the thickness we're going for there. 3/4 of an inch or so. All right. We're using this 3 3/4 inch or so mold. I'm just gonna start pressing them out. Look at those little cute pucks. Perfect pączki. I'm just gonna take the remaining dough here and roll it out. We're just gonna put these boyos to bed, and we're gonna let these proof for another 30-45 minutes, just until they get noticeably puffier. Put these in my oven that is not turned on. Nice little insulation in there. Oh yeah. Check these out. Puffed as heck. Woo! They almost look like little biscuits. All right, now we fry. All right, we are just about there. Perfect. In between that 325, 350 range will be fine. It'll drop a little bit when we have the donuts, but pączki. All right. These take on color very fast, which is because of the egg yolks. Once all the pączki are fried off, drain them on a wire rack and let them cool off for just a couple minutes. Use a chopstick or something similar to poke a single hole on the side of each pączki for the filling. We're gonna carefully dock our pastry bag tip into that hole, so make sure it's wide enough. Now remember, the pączki at the bakery weren't filled all that much, so you don't need to go too nutso on the filling here. The pączki can be a little delicate, so to pipe, cradle each one delicately in your hand and slowly add in your fillings using sort of that grip to feel them fill up. Less is more here. I want you to go for a less filled pączki instead of a broken one. If you're really craving more filling, you know, serve the jam or the custard in a little bowl on the side and just go to Dunk Town. We're gonna make 3 flavors today. The dark filling is the most classic, the plum butter. The red filling is the rose hip spread, and the yellow goo is just pastry cream, aka custard. If you want the pastry cream recipe, I'm gonna leave it for you in the description below. And no worries if the filling starts to come out of the little hole that we punched in once you fill them up. You can just go ahead and use a paper towel or something and just kind of scrape that away and make them nice and uniform. We have 3 different fillings. Now we're gonna have 3 different toppings, I guess you can call them. For the rose hip, I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle them with powdered sugar on top. Just kind of a super easy, classic way to do things here. I think they look pretty nice too. For the plum butter, I'm gonna drop these into the white glaze. Now, we're just gonna kind of put those in, pick them up with the tips of your fingers and rest them on the wire rack. The glaze is gonna drip down the sides a little bit. It's gonna look nice, you'll see. Then for the custard-filled Boston cream punchki, I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna drop them in that chocolate, pick them up with the tips of your fingers, kind of make sure that chocolate rests nicely on top and pop that in a wire rack, and we're done. We're just gonna let the glazes kind of solidify and take to the punchki a little bit before we dig in. You can speed up the solidification of the glazes by popping these in the fridge, or just, be patient, keep them at room temperature, it's gonna be fine. Remember, these are just 3 different flavors and 3 different topping varieties. Get crazy, you can make your own different flavored fruity glazes, you can pipe them on in cool designs, you can keep them plain, you can use regular granulated sugar. The choices are endless. All right, so now we gotta taste these things. I'm gonna see which one we like the most. We're gonna rank them 1 through 3. We'll start here with the powdered sugar rose hip. Ain't that cute? Come on. I gotta run that back. We got a little, oh my God, like powdery sugar. The rose hip, pretty good. It reminds me a lot of like raspberry mixed with strawberry jam. Not a lot of rose flavor, which is fine because if you're familiar with rose, it can be very overpowering. Pretty solid. All right, the Boston creme. Let's give this a go. Oh yeah, look at that custy. Ooh, man, I just really like custard, man. I'm definitely a fat boy for custy. I like that one a lot. Somebody could screenshot that and do something really bad with it. All right, now we got our prune glaze, the most classic flavor that there is, I guess. Look at that. Gooing out the sides. Thing looks glorious. So the prune is interesting. It's tangy. I'm sorry, this is plum. I keep saying prune because, well, plums are prunes, plums turn into prunes, but also it's a cooked down plum. It's very, very rich in color. It's sweet slightly, mostly sharp and tangy. Actually not bad. I'm a savory guy. If you guys have been watching the videos on the channel, you know that. And this is kind of like a cool mixture because the donut itself isn't that sweet, and neither is the filling. And also, look at this. I mean, these donuts, like you don't leave teeth marks in these punchkis here. I keep saying donuts. I keep saying donuts. Punchki. You don't leave teeth marks in these punchki here. They're like a little more bready, like I was saying earlier, kind of like brioche bread, which is interesting too. Look how yellow that is, just like brioche. And that prune. I mean, the colors are very pretty. I actually really like the prune. It's gonna be tough. All right, I left the ugly boys that we had this is from the dough that I re-rolled to get extra punchkis. I left them plain just because supposedly Emmy at the store told me that a lot of people actually order plain punchkis. So. I mean, it's definitely a lot more boring compared to the other flavors, probably just because now I'm expecting them to be filled, but I don't know, I could see the OGs enjoying the plain punchki, you know? Dip this in some custard, chocolate, that would be really good. Also just on its own, be nice like with breakfast or something. So first, second, and third place. Let's start with the bronze. In third place, it's gotta be the prune. All in all, compared to the other 2 flavors today, it was probably my least favorite, but if you've never had a punchki before, I recommend trying it with the plum filling, prune filling, plum butter specifically, because it is the OG flavor and it's a cool baseline to start your punchki journey. In second place, the silver, very respectable. I think you guys know the answer to this, the rose hip. The rose hip is fantastic. If you like a jelly-filled donut, you're gonna like the rose hip. Not too rosy, fruity, sweet, kind of almost refreshing in a weird way with the punchki because it is kind of like, you know, it's a very bready pastry, so Really nice little breakup there. Rose hip, second place. Which means, maybe you could have guessed it, in first place, the Boston cream. Such an Americano over here, I know. But like I said, I'm an Augustus gloop for custy. Love custard. That chocolate on there. I'm not even really the biggest like chocolate guy on things. I like, you know, it was always a vanilla ice cream over chocolate ice cream guy growing up. But man, the Boston cream is a goated donut. And if you've had one, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, definitely try it out. Especially if you go over to Delightful Pastries, they do a great job. Their Boston cream is insane. Yeah, that's probably what I would have to rate these 3 flavors. But remember, there are so many different flavors. You can make whatever flavors you want. Get creative, get weird. And man, I would even do like a ham and cheese one. Call me crazy, but it might be good with a slightly sweet brioche, almost kind of like a croque madame, croque monsieur vibe. Yeah, I digress. The Pączki, Poland's puffiest pastry. Do I know that for a fact? No, but it's pretty puffy. Let me know in the comments below which Pączki you thought looked the most delicious, which flavor you liked the most, and if you've never had one, definitely go get one this Pączki day. If you liked the video, like the video. If you're new to the Chansky, subscribe to the Chansky, join the party. The best way to support the channel is over on the Patreon, aka the grocery fund. It helps us fry the Pączki, fill the Pączki, eat the Pączki. But if you can't support, that's totally cool too. Come say what up in Discord. We're chatting, we're cooling, we're talking about really weird things. Also normal things. So come say what up, come introduce yourself. That's all I got for you today. Happy Pączki Day, and I will see you very, very soon. Later.